In September of 2022, we did a Viking Rhine River Cruise. This video is just of the castles along the central part of the Rhine. Most of them are in a single area, and these shots are in no particular order. I will attempt to pronounce the names of the castles, plus they're written here. They're typed out, and hopefully if I say them incorrectly, someone will correct me. Although some of them are still in ruins, many have been refurbished and turned into hotels and restaurants. I'm sure it's really nice to stay in some of these. Schönberg Castle was built in 966 and burned by, the French in 1689, but now it's a hotel and a restaurant. Stahleck is a 12th century castle destroyed in the 17th and lay in ruins for about 237 years. Now it's a youth hostel since 1909. Heimburg Castle was built in the 13th century and destroyed by the French in the 19th. There are a whole lot of stories, both true and myth, about these castles and their past inhabitants. Some hard to believe, but then again, that's what myths are made of. One of the things you can pretty much rely on is that the French blew up a lot of them and then rebuilt some, and then the Germans blew up some and then rebuilt them again. We humans sure spend a lot of time blowing things up and a lot of money rebuilding. Mouse Tower served as a shipping signal station all the way up until 1974. This isn't really a castle, it's a toll station. They used to put chains across the river to stop the boats and collect the tolls. Prior to Germany becoming a more centralized ruled country, it was ruled over by a series of feudal lords and nobles who pretty much were allowed to do whatever they wanted to. One of the things was to claim a piece of the Rhine and charge merchants for the movement of their merchandise. Once the country became more centralized with a single king, that activity stopped. And I'm sure the merchants were thrilled about it. The castle above it probably provided enough incentive for making sure the tolls were paid. It's now a hotel. There are plenty of stories about good and bad rulers and good and bad knights and lost loves and deaths in foreign wars and lords lusting after the grieving young ladies left behind. One of the stories is about a beautiful maiden who threw herself into the Rhine River in despair over a faithless lover and was transformed into a siren who lured fishermen to destruction. Actually, I'm sure a bunch of sailors looking at a long-haired naked woman on a rock would not require a whole lot of luring. Our program director was really good at information throughout the entire journey. This is him explaining one section of the Rhine.
Well, ahead of you on the right-hand side, can you see the castle facade at the entrance to the railway tunnel? So sort of like 1 o'clock, if you look straight ahead from the ship as we're moving forward, there is a railway tunnel with a castle facade. And these were built by the Germans during World War II because they knew that the Allies from the air would not bomb castles or churches. So the Allies, unsuspecting from the air, left these alone because they thought it was a castle and it was a strategic pinpoint. Very smart move by the Germans because they were able to then keep these very important railway tunnels open.
The Klopp Castle is the site of a former Roman fortress, but the castle dates back to the 13th century. This is Rheinstein Castle. If you can see it in the picture, there's a torture cage up on the tower. This was a castle for all occasions. There are other structures along the Rhine, but I couldn't find anything on them, but they were still interesting to see. Since many of them are in vineyards, it could be that there was some type of storage or production facility for the wine. Cat's Castle dates from the 14th century and was heavily damaged by Napoleon's forces in 1806, but was then rebuilt during the Victorian era. Liebenstein Castle was built in the 13th century and is the highest castle on the Middle Rhine. This too is now a hotel and a restaurant. Nolig Castle isn't actually a castle, it's part of a larger fortification for a local town. The Einrenfels dates from the 13th century.